My people, this matter of Simon Ekpa is getting more interesting by the day. You know, when the news first broke that the Finnish court had sentenced him to 6 years in prison, many people were shocked, while some said, finally. Now, the gist coming out is that Simon Ekpa might actually be rendered useless after serving that time in prison. And when we say rendered useless, we mean his political influence, his voice, his reach. Everything he has built around this so-called activism might just fade away before he even steps out of that prison gate. Now, for those who don't know, Simon Ekpa has been a controversial figure. He is a Nigerian Finnish lawyer and political activist who became popular for taking over from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in pushing for the Biafra movement online. He was one of the loudest voices calling for sit-at-home in the southeast region of Nigeria, something that crippled businesses, affected students, and made life hard for ordinary people trying to survive. Many say his influence spread fear instead of hope. But now that he has been sentenced in Finland for terrorism-related crimes, things are taking a different turn. And honestly, this might be the end of that loud online influence he used to have. You know how social media works. Once you're silent for a while, people move on fast. 6 years in prison is not small time. By the time he comes out, the online world would have changed. New people would have taken over the spotlight, and his voice might not carry that same weight again. Please, before we continue, if you're just joining us or you like how we break down these stories, kindly hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. It helps us reach more people and keep you updated on what's really going on in Nigeria and beyond. Now, let's talk about how this affects things back home. The Biafra movement itself has been losing direction in recent years. Since Nnamdi Kanu's detention, there have been several factions, and each one claims to be the real voice of the people. Simon Ekpa's own approach was more aggressive. Many people criticized him for enforcing sit-at-home orders from Finland, while those actually suffering were in Nigeria. His actions caused tension between his supporters and ordinary citizens, who just wanted peace and normal life. So now, with his imprisonment, many people believe this is the calm after the storm. There's this feeling that peace might slowly return to the southeast, especially if his followers begin to lose coordination. Some youths who once followed him are already saying they're tired of all the violence and fear. They just want opportunities, education, and a future. That's the real conversation people are having now. At the same time, you can't deny that Simon Ekpa had some loyal followers who saw him as a hero. But with this sentence, even they are beginning to question everything. Because when someone you follow is in a foreign jail for terrorism charges, it changes the narrative completely. You begin to ask yourself, was this the right path all along? Was it truly about freedom? Or was it something else? And you know how politics in Nigeria works. Many politicians are now using this story to push their own narratives. Some are saying, look at what happens when people take the wrong approach. Others are saying, it's a lesson for those who think they can use social media to destabilize the country from abroad. The truth is, no matter which side you're on, this story is a big turning point. If you're watching right now, I want you to tell me in the comment section, do you think Simon Ekpa's imprisonment will bring peace to the southeast? Or do you think another person will rise and continue his style of agitation? Let's discuss that, because this is not just about one man. It's about how power, influence, and social media can affect millions of lives. Don't forget, please, to like this video and subscribe so that you don't miss the next gist. We always bring it to you the real way, no sugarcoating, no propaganda, just facts and balanced talk. Now, another angle we have to look at is the diplomatic side. The Nigerian government has been quiet about the sentencing, but make no mistake, they are watching. This development gives them more ground to say, look, these movements abroad are not as innocent as they look. And that could mean tighter monitoring of other diaspora activists who use social media to push controversial agendas. At the same time, Finland is sending a strong message too, that freedom of speech has limits, especially when it leads to actions that promote violence or division. This is where the international community usually draws the line. And it's also a reminder to those who think being in another country means they can't face the law because the internet has no boundaries anymore. For Simon Ekpa, personally, 6 years is a long time to reflect. If he decides to change his ways, Maybe focus on peaceful dialogue or humanitarian work when he gets out. Who knows? He might still have a chance to rebuild. But if he remains stuck in the old pattern, the world might just move on without him completely. Because honestly, social media fame is like a wave, it doesn't last forever. Now, what's even more interesting is how the same people who once hailed him are now silent or even mocking him online. That's how quickly public opinion changes. When you're on top, people cheer. When you fall, the same people turn away. It's a serious lesson for anyone who uses influence carelessly. Before we move forward, please remember to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe so you don't miss any updates. You supporting this channel helps us keep breaking down these real-life stories with truth and balance. The Nigerian diaspora community in Europe is already reacting to Simon Ekpa's case in different ways. Some people are distancing themselves, saying his actions don't represent them, while others are still defending him, saying he's a victim of political setup. But one thing that's clear is that this situation has drawn attention to how Nigerian activists abroad use their platforms. Many governments are now watching closely because they don't want people using foreign soil to stir unrest back home. In fact, a few days after the sentencing, there were quiet talks in some online forums where Nigerians abroad were advising each other to be careful with the kind of content they post, especially when it involves Nigeria's internal issues. Some said, Finland's decision shows that no country wants to be seen as supporting terrorism or any form of incitement. It's a serious matter, and it's making many people rethink how they engage in activism. Now, back home in Nigeria, the mood is mixed. Some people see this as justice finally catching up with someone they believe contributed to the suffering in the southeast. Others, especially among his followers, are still in denial. But let's be honest, 6 years is not a small punishment. And even if he decides to appeal, the fact that the sentence was passed at all shows that the court found strong evidence against him. If you've been following this story for long, you'll remember how his name used to trend online almost every week. Every Monday, people would mention him because of the sit-at-home enforcement. But now, the same social media space is filled with other stories, new influencers, and fresh faces. That's how fast things change. And that's one reason why I said earlier that his influence might fade away before he comes out. Before we go further, please, if you're still watching this video, just take a second, like this video and subscribe to the channel. That's the best way to support what we're doing here. We bring you news and gist the way it really is. No bias, no twist. Now, let's talk about the human side of this story. No matter what you think of Simon Ekpa, he's still someone's father, someone's husband, someone's son. 6 years in prison will change anybody. It's not just about being behind bars. It's the mental stress, the isolation, the loss of power. When he comes out, the world will not be the same again. The people he once commanded online may have moved on. The causes he once pushed may have faded. It's going to be a very different reality for him. Some analysts are even saying that this could serve as a big lesson for upcoming activists. You can speak for your people, yes, but once you start promoting violence or making statements that could harm others, the law will catch up with you, no matter where you are. That's what this case is showing clearly. Let's be real. The Southeast has suffered too much because of political misdirection and violent enforcement of ideologies. Many families have lost loved ones. Students have missed exams. Traders have lost their source of income. And most of these people didn't even understand what the fight was about anymore. They just wanted peace. So now that one of the biggest voices behind those sit-at-home orders is locked away, maybe this is a turning point. The question now is, who takes over that online influence? Will someone else rise up and start pushing the same agenda? Or will people finally say, enough is enough, and focus on development, unity, and rebuilding their lives? That's what everyone is watching. Because one thing we know about Nigeria, when one person fades out, another quickly comes in to fill the gap. And there's another part of this gist that's really interesting. Some of his close associates are reportedly trying to rebrand themselves, saying they never really agreed with his approach. They are now preaching peace and dialogue, saying the Southeast needs healing, not more tension. It's funny how things change so fast when power shifts. If you look back at Simon Ekpa's online pattern, you'll see that he knew how to use fear and emotion to control narratives. That's what gave him power. But now that he's in prison, that emotional hold is broken. People are thinking more clearly, asking questions, and realizing that nobody wins in a divided society. Please, if you're watching this right now and enjoying the gist, just take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe. We're trying to build a family here where we talk about real stories, real issues, and real change. Your support helps us grow and reach more Nigerians at home and abroad. Now, beyond the political and emotional side, there's also a moral lesson here. Every action has a consequence. The internet may give you a platform, but it also keeps receipts. Everything you post can be used for or against you. So, for young people watching this, be careful how you use your voice online. If your message brings harm to others, it will eventually backfire. Many people believe that if Simon Ekpa had used his platform for peace, maybe even to push for dialogue between the government and the people, his story would have been different. But now, he has become an example of how power, when misused, can destroy not just one person but an entire movement. And to those who once saw him as untouchable, this is a reminder that the law works slow sometimes, but steady. Whether you're in Finland or Nigeria, justice will find its way. Now, let me ask you again, what do you think will happen after Simon Ekpa serves his time? Do you think he will come back to activism, or will he go quiet and try to rebuild his life? Let's talk about it in the comments section. Your thoughts matter. Remember again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so that you'll always get our updates as soon as we drop them.